we'll give a few more minutes before we do our proper introductions. Just letting folks jump on to Friday's edition of Build Up Dietitians Facebook Live. North Carolina Sweet Potatoes has a really special treat to share with folks. So if you could take some time to drop us some notes in the comments about where you're from, where you're watching from, maybe some questions you have about what can you do to be creative with your sweet potatoes, or you name it, because today's all about creativity. Just give us a few questions, and then I'll do a proper introduction when I'm told it's actually new.
Where they're from in the comments. Do you want to talk about it?
So I'll be all in the background. We actually have myself. I'm Coco Daughtry from the North Carolina Sweet Potato Commission, and Heather Barnes from our North Carolina Department of Agriculture is also here today while we're videoing or filming live. And we'll be on site to help answer questions or feed them to our premiered speaker today. So please drop your questions below. Let us know where you're from. Tell us a little about you and anything that you are curious about as we talk about North Carolina sweet potatoes.
The old videos.
Good reminder. Thank you, Heather. There are, if you haven't watched before, there are in the Build Up Dietitian Live archives, there are 2 other Facebook Live videos regarding North Carolina sweet potatoes. One, we actually took you to a field to interview a farmer. The second one was our registered dietitian, Sarah Schlichter. And so if you haven't watched them, make sure to watch those. And when we go backwards and look at the last 3 videos, one of you will win a North Carolina sweet potato swag bag. So make sure that you post and share and all the things in the comments to be entered for that drawing. Looks like it's just now 12 o'clock, so let me do a proper introduction. Welcome to Build Up Dietitians Friday Facebook Live. My name is Coco Daughtry. I am from the North Carolina Sweet Potato Commission, and we are here today with Erica Calderon from Savory Meals Prep, and she is going to discuss all things sweet and show us how to be creative with sweet potatoes. So Erica, can you show us all wonderful sweet things with North Carolina sweet potatoes?
Yes, definitely. Hi everyone, my name is Erica Calderon, and I'm the owner of Savory Meals, which is a meal prep delivery service based in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. And we actually specialize in dairy-free and gluten-free cooking because most of the people that we serve have food sensitivities. So we cook everything from scratch. Everything you see here today are just some of the items that we feature on our menu. And since we cook everything from scratch, that means that we're always looking for ingredients that are versatile. What can we use in different ways? As you can see here, many different ways. What can we use throughout our menu? And if you're someone who cooks from home, then you can appreciate how important it is to reduce your prep time, to reduce your food waste in the kitchen. Well, sweet potatoes always fall into that category. As you can see here, there are lots of different ways that you can use sweet potatoes. Today we have some biscuits, risotto, tortillas, muffins, some yogurt parfaits, a shake, so lots of options. And if you are someone who cooks from home, obviously cutting down your food waste is really important. When you sorry. Yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, cutting down your food waste when you are trying to meal prep is really important. Not only to save you money, but just so that you make sure that you're utilizing everything in your kitchen. And again, if you cook a lot in your home, you also know that this is the time of year when we really start to lose momentum, or motivation, I should say, when it comes to healthy eating. It seems like as soon as the temperatures drop, we just want to get cozy. We crave our comfort foods. And as we get busier through the fall, the idea of healthy eating and healthy cooking, for some reason, it just seems even more overwhelming. But if we're craving sweets like brownies and pies, you better believe we're gonna find a way to make that recipe, or we're gonna find that bakery, because it's comforting. You know, I think it's because it's easy. There's a lot of recipes out there with, you know, 3 simple ingredients, or there's a lot of bakeries nearby. So for that reason, I thought it would be a good idea for us to talk about some of the different ways that we can use sweet potatoes so that we can make it a little more familiar, make it a little more fun. So taking a vegetable like the North Carolina sweet potato, which is already delicious. Obviously, it doesn't require a whole lot to make it taste great. And just continue talking about some of the different ways that you can use them. So the idea is to show those of us, or the people that we serve, you know, the people around us who don't normally eat sweet potatoes after the holidays, that there are a lot more ways that you can use them. It can actually be easy, and you can really get creative with it. Because I talk to people all the time. I talk to people every day who are really struggling with their meal planning at home.
So you're being asked, what are some of the most requested sweet potato dishes that your customers ask for?
So actually, it's one of them is here. Even though we do serve healthy meals, people aren't exclusively coming to us for health reasons. They're coming to us for the convenience. These little sweet potato oat muffins are a very popular, can you see them? There you go. These are actually really popular, the oat muffins. I made these with sweet potato puree. It's really simple. Sweet potato puree, some oats, maple syrup, and then of course you can add some baking soda. So those, right now I'm getting a lot of requests for the sweet potato pie, which you can see here. This one was used with purple sweet potato. Okay, can you see it? Yeah. And so again, I hear a lot of the struggles about people who are trying to meal prep at home. You know, I don't have time to go grocery shopping, or I don't have time to cook for myself. And the most common one that I hear is, I don't know how to use some of the vegetables that I see in the supermarkets. So we tend to stick to the same grocery list, the same recipes, and we end up getting bored of some of the same foods that we eat. I know for myself, there's only so many chicken breasts that I can eat in a week. And you get bored of seeing the same foods in your fridge, and you know. So for that reason, we are really just taking a traditionally fall and winter vegetable like the North Carolina sweet potato, and talking about how we can prepare it in different ways throughout the year, and also how we can reduce our prep time, because that's the whole point. You know, that's one of the reasons why we sort of stop meal prepping and it's not as consistent, because we feel like it's so time consuming. So we want to reduce the time and reduce the waste, so we're making sure that we really use up our grocery bill. And so that you can look forward to eating healthy, because we know that it can actually be easy, and because it's going to be delicious. So the North Carolina Sweet Potato Commission's website, which is ncsweetpotatoes.com, already has some really creative ideas on how to prepare sweet potatoes. One of my favorite tools on their website is Sweet Potatoes 5 Ways. I got a little carried away here today because we use this in our menu all the time. We eat sweet potatoes at home every day. So I took some inspiration from that and thought, before we know it, we're all going to be gearing up for a new year. So while it is fun to talk about how we can use sweet potatoes now during the holidays, I have to assume that most of us have already seen a sweet potato casserole with marshmallows on top. And so I didn't want to bring that out. I wanted to bring out some things that, kind of get you thinking outside the box. So let's talk about how we can use them, after the holidays, throughout the year, especially around New Year's resolutions. We're all trying to turn things around and we have new goals. So, we have tons of stuff here. And I think that really one of the biggest challenges here, or for people who are trying to cook from home, other than finding the time, of course, is the fact that we go to our supermarket or we're going online now and we see all of this fresh, beautiful produce and we get excited, especially now during the fall where we have some sales going on. And so we grab the sweet potatoes, we bring them home, and then we really don't know what to do with it outside of maybe a baked sweet potato with some sugar on top and some cinnamon, or that casserole with the marshmallows on top. So that's why I thought it would be fun for us to just share some ideas, see what else we can do with the North Carolina sweet potato. And I think can go through some of this. So my hope is that we can take, a very simple concept like sweet potatoes 5 ways, or you can, take it and do a lot more with it, and just show people how easy it can be, especially when they realize that doing this can save you time. And eventually they can apply the same concept to the rest of their vegetables, the rest of their fresh produce, and get people to start utilizing that fresh produce instead of letting it go to waste in their fridge. And while I share some of these, just some of these ideas, I'd also love for you all to share some comments, send us some questions so that we can all share ideas with one another. Just share some tips on how you maybe go about meal prepping, your grocery lists, shopping, cooking. So how do you, how do you help the people that you serve so that it feels less intimidating when they go home to cook for themselves?
So some of the questions that are being asked online are, can you share about making sweet potatoes savory? Because people talk about them always being sweet. Can you share a little bit about your background and how you landed in this position? And did you eat sweet potatoes growing up?
Yes. So I did eat sweet potatoes growing up. I have, without even realizing it, been in the sweet potato industry since I was a kid because my father was a harvesting contractor. So I was born in North Carolina because my father would bring us up here for the summer, throughout the fall, and he worked in sweet potatoes. And years later, I moved back to North Carolina, and now we still eat sweet potatoes all the time. And to talk about some savory recipes, I have some here for that reason, because there's a lot more that you can do with them other than pie or energy balls or muffins. We have a hummus that we make, which is really savory. We actually do, I was going to show you all, I bake sweet potatoes and make, can you see that? And make the puree. So I just bake a ton of sweet potatoes and then I freeze it. So you can freeze it in smaller bags or a big gallon size freezer bag. Everything you see here was made with sweet potato puree. The smoothie, this, which could be a yogurt parfait, the energy balls, which we mix with dates and pecans or coconut, the tortillas. There's some tortillas here, so you can make shrimp tacos, beef, chicken, anything. There's some risotto that we make. So you can take oatmeal or any grain and just throw in some puree. And if you want to make it savory, then try some garlic, some spices. That's what we did with the risotto. With the biscuits, we used puree for that as well. The oat muffins. The oat muffins are sweet, but I would say the hummus is the most savory one that we have here today. We put some sesame seeds on it. There's ginger, there's garlic, chickpeas. So there's lots of things that you could do with sweet potatoes outside of muffins and pies.
So, can you talk to us a little bit about the 5 ways? You've got some examples up there. Can you share those with our audience that may not have seen the website yet?
Yeah, so one of the tools that I always refer to is the sweet potatoes 5 ways. I think you can apply that concept really with any vegetable to just challenge yourself to use it in different ways. This is a smoothie, and I know I have a lot more than 5 ways here, but I just really wanted to show you how far something as simple as a sweet potato puree can take you. I made a smoothie, which was, the recipe is on ncsweetpotatoes.com. It's called the recovery smoothie. Antioxidant recovery smoothie. It's got sweet potato puree, mango, some maple syrup. It's got milk. I used a plant-based milk today, but you can use any type of milk or even a little bit of water because it also has yogurt. So that makes it really creamy and thick and delicious. I've already drank 2 today. And another way that you can use some of that puree, I also made some purple sweet potato puree. It's a beautiful color. This one has tons of antioxidants. I like to just layer the parfait with yogurt and some granola. So that's another really easy thing to do. These oat muffins, you can literally make these in your blender. There's lots of easy recipes online. I'd be happy to share a link with you guys too. I don't know if there's an oat muffin recipe on ncsweetpotatoes.com, but this one just has oat flour, some sweet potato puree, maple syrup. There's some baking powder and pecans. What else? Maybe a little salt, a little sea salt. And they're very easy. They're done in like 20 minutes.
Talk to us about some of the differences with sweet potatoes. For example, that smoothie was designed for athletes. So can you talk a little bit about different lifestyles or different dietary needs? You touched on it some earlier.
Yeah, so the antioxidant recovery smoothie, we made this recently actually for a local event called the Tuna Run. And it was a great little just snack or a quick little, shot of recovery drink for some of the runners that were passing by the Sweet Potato Commission's table. Again, this is really easy to make. You can have it in your fridge for a couple of days. Of course, you got to shake it up, But having the sweet potatoes in there with yogurt and a little bit of mango, it's already sweet enough. You don't have to add a whole lot of maple syrup or honey even. It's already delicious because the sweet potato on its own has a lot of flavor. It's already, sweet. So what I like to do with the puree also is, I don't know if you can see these energy balls. This is another really good snack to have on hand for when you just need like a little boost, but you don't want to reach for the candy bar. I love telling, some of our people to just make them at home. Obviously we sell them, but my goal too is to get people to start making some of this stuff at home so that they don't, always rely on the sugary, the stuff with all the high refined sugars. It's just a very easy snack. And the way you make these is you just put some puree in your food processor, some dates, if you'd like dates, a little bit of oats just to give it some, so it binds, so you get that, roll it up into a ball. And then whatever type of trail mix, nuts, coconut, pecans, you just literally roll them up, and whatever you might have in your pantry works. I love having those as a snack. So, yeah.
Bring this a little closer so you guys can all see the energy bites.
Yeah, we have those in a 6-pack, and people like to just kind of stock up on those and then keep them in the freezer.
Well, let me ask
And,
this
yeah.
question, Erica. So it looks, when I'm looking at these, like they might be created with the purple sweet potatoes.
Yes.
So do you make them with either or both?
Both. Yeah, we make them with both. And like I said, I love to just make I bake sheets of sweet potatoes and puree it, mash it up, and then keep them on hand. I keep them in gallon bags, but I think when you're cooking at home, it may not be as practical. So I put them in smaller bags today. If you keep smaller Ziploc bags in your freezer at home, you can just take these out when you're ready to make a smoothie, some energy balls, a muffin, some hummus too. The hummus is really easy to make.
I want to
too.
kind of go back to a quick savory
Yeah.
question, and it seems like the risotto and your biscuits
Mhm.
look a little bit savory. They're not super sweet.
No.
And you started all of this with your
Puree.
puree that was frozen in your freezer. Looks like we have another question from online.
Do you ever use the puree to make baby food?
So a lot of people ask me about baby food, and I quickly refer to something like the parfait that you can layer. We don't make baby food because there's a whole nother regulation for serving baby foods. But if you're making this at home, I always go back to just layering ingredients, soft ingredients.
And I want to say there is some direct information on how to create that on the Sweet Potato Commission website.
Yeah.
But starting with fresh sweet potato purees has to be healthy.
Yeah, and it's easy. You just bake it or you boil it if you'd like. I like to bake the sweet potatoes instead of boiling them because I think that, not only the smell is amazing, but it really, it just lets the flavor really build up. I'm not sure.
Got some cubed sweet potatoes up
Yes.
there. So can you talk a little bit about how someone can incorporate them cubed or sliced, or even you've got spiralized back there?
Yeah, I meant to bring out some quinoa too. I use the cubes, so I cut them up into cubes. I roast them. You can roast all your veggies at once if you'd like. But what I do with the diced sweet potatoes is roast them with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. If you want to get creative with other spices, that's just your preference. But I use them as breakfast potatoes next to eggs. Instead of bread. Some days, nothing wrong with bread, but some days you want to have, just a natural light carb. I also use them in quinoa salads. So I'll take roasted sweet potatoes that have been diced like this, and then I toss them with a balsamic dressing, some quinoa, some black beans or white beans, chickpeas. You can really just throw anything into your salad, but that's what I use as like a hearty, filler.
So this might be a silly question to ask you because you cook with them all day long, all
Yeah.
week long. But what's the best way to store sweet potatoes in your everyday at home kitchen?
So if they're already cooked, as I mentioned earlier, you just want to freeze them. Even a whole baked sweet potato, you can just throw it in the freezer. If they're fresh, just like this, or not cooked yet, I keep them in my pantry, in just like a cool, dark place. That's really all there is to it. You just put them not in the fridge.
How about your spiralized ones? Can you show those off?
Yeah, so these are a fun little alternative to pasta. I know we all love some pasta every now and then, but if you're looking for something that's a little, or gluten-free too, the spiralizer is always handy. You can do this, you can do other vegetables, of course, but what I do with this one is, since the spirals are pretty thin normally, just depending on your setting, or if you just buy them already pre-cut from the store, I throw them in a saute pan. I pour a little bit of water over it so that it'll create steam when you cover it. I drizzle it with olive oil, salt and pepper. Again, very simple. And I just steam them for a couple of minutes, and that's all you have to do. Then you throw on some shrimp or some shredded chicken. If you pick some up from the grocery store, you know, those rotisserie chickens are always really easy to, you know, prepare meals with. And yeah, because otherwise they start to break down really fast. So
we have a question from the audience. Do you have any tips for cutting, because they're always hard and dense?
Yeah.
And let's face it, their shape makes them not super easy. I don't want you to ask you to do it online, just in case.
Yeah.
But if you could talk about maybe what the best way.
I find it easiest to cut when you take a sweet potato. I find it easiest, and I don't know if this is the proper way or what you're supposed to, you know, do. But when I'm in the kitchen, especially when I have the people who are helping me, I try to cut like a little piece on the side, so that then you have a flat surface. Just like when you're cutting an onion, you want to get a flat surface first, and then you have a little more stability so that you're not cutting yourself. And then, of course, there's proper ways to hold the knife, to put your fingers a certain way so that you're not chopping your...
And that's a lesson for another day.
Yes.
Thank you so much for giving us your tip on give us a flat surface before cutting.
Yeah.
So here's another question. How many sweet potato pies are you making for your customers this year? And is there a secret to making a really good sweet potato pie?
I've learned a few tips along the way. We've been testing. This is one of the tests actually this that we did this week. Obviously, we've already gotten into this one. But yeah, I started offering sweet potato pies last year. That was when I started Savory meals, and it was it was this time of year when I started delivering meals, and I just thought, okay, people love pie during this time of year, Thanksgiving. So my tip, something that I just noticed this week too as we were testing, first of all, have your puree really, really mashed up. Take the time to really mash up the puree so that you don't have all those fibrous pieces and lumpy pieces once your pie is baked. Because as soon as you cut into the pie, you can see like little chunks. And that's because it wasn't mashed up well, or maybe even the variety of sweet potato. I think all varieties of sweet potatoes are fine. You just have to really make sure that you're whipping it or processing it so that you don't have, like I said, those little hairs, those little fibers from the sweet potato.
This makes a prettier presentation.
It makes a better presentation. And I said before, they're already sweet, so it doesn't require a whole lot of sugar. You know, you want to taste the natural sweetness of the sweet potato. So you might want to just enhance it with some maple syrup or honey if that's your preference. And we're offering this purple sweet potato pie with a gingerbread crust this year. And so we've already started pre-selling, and I'm really excited because it's just a beautiful dessert to have on your table. There's lots of recipes for pies.
I can't wait to dig in when this live is over.
Okay, and we've got a question from Monica, who first of all says she loves sweet potatoes, so we love you, Monica. She says she hasn't had good luck with the purple ones, that they seem drier. So do you have any suggestions on working specifically with the purple varieties?
I'm glad you said that, because we had that same problem last year, which was the first time that I started testing some of these purple sweet potato pies. I don't know what other people do, but I simply added more liquid. When we're mashing the sweet potato, it is a more dense, it's a lot more dry than the orange varieties are going to be. The orange varieties, when you bake them, you can see it's it has a lot more moisture. These, honestly, I just add liquid. If we have coconut milk or almond milk or water, we just keep adding until it's a more like mashed, smoother consistency. And then we start adding the other ingredients. If it's a pie, then we start adding the other ingredients. We recently made some steak and purple sweet mashed potatoes recently, And again, we added more liquid to the mashed potatoes so that they've had a smoother consistency. And we made it with a sesame butter. So that's another kind of thing to keep in mind, is you can really do a lot with these purple sweet potatoes too. We had a savory sesame butter mashed potato with steak a couple weeks ago, and it was really good.
Can you talk a little bit about sweet potato biscuits? Because we're here in North Carolina, we in the South love our biscuits, but making sweet potato biscuits can be a little trickier than when you're just making your regular biscuits.
Mm-hmm. So I made these this morning actually, and again I used puree. Some of the recipes that I found online had a lot of cinnamon, had a lot of sugar. These are just made with flour, sweet potato puree, baking powder, some salt, and then I used some milk. That was really, and butter. Of course, you gotta have butter. The sweet potato puree is gonna make the biscuit look like it's gonna turn out more dense. So, and there's actually a biscuit recipe on ncsweetpotatoes.com that's really good. That's actually the one that I started with, and then I just kept tweaking. Every time you make something, you have your own preferences. But yeah, they have a really great recipe for sweet potato biscuits. That, again, the puree. So when you're mixing the flour, the butter, the baking powder, the salt, throw in the puree. And I think the thing with biscuits is that you can't mess with it a whole lot. You just mix it enough to incorporate all the ingredients and then dump it on the counter and you start flipping. I flipped the biscuit dough, I guess you could say, a couple of times, and then I don't touch it. And so
They look amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
We've also had a question. How about sweet potato pancakes or waffles? Have you tried them that way?
Yes, pancakes. That's another. I forgot about the pancakes. We do a lot of pancakes. We get requests for sweet potato pancakes all the time. That's another recipe that I make with oats. And you guys have a recipe on your website too. And it's really easy, just like the oat muffins. It's almost the same recipe. You take some oat flour, sweet potato puree, and then you sweeten it with maple syrup. And they're really good, actually. They freeze well too. That's another thing, is when you do muffins or energy balls or pancakes, they freeze really well. And that's another time saver. Yeah.
How about the biscuits? Will they freeze well?
Yeah, they do freeze well. I've been thinking about leaving them before we bake them, trying to freeze that. So I haven't tried that yet, but once they're baked, they freeze well too. So.
Right. So we've got some more questions coming in. What's been the #1 sweet potato item you've sold since you've started your business?
The oat muffins. I think the energy balls.
All right.
I'd have to say the most consistent. Yeah. And people want those every week. We feature other items, but the energy balls are what people always ask for because they need that go-to snack. They want something that's healthy, especially for people who are health conscious.
All right. What is your favorite sweet potato recipe?
I think the biscuits take it.
And how many people are working with you or for you in your business?
So we have, there's 3 girls in the kitchen with me now. I have someone who is helping me with more administrative marketing work, and I've also partnered with someone who has been helping me with recipe development. So last year I was doing everything, and as you all know, that's not sustainable. And so I slowly started adding on a few hours a week where I'd get someone to help me with RD, with some marketing, and now I feel very blessed. I have help in the kitchen, and I'm still in the kitchen. I love what I do, so I don't think I'll ever see myself completely out of the kitchen. I'm still delivering everything myself. I love the fact that I see the people that we're serving on a weekly basis. They come out to say hi, even if they're busy. So yeah, there's about 5 of us on a weekly basis.
Ooh, and we've got a suggestion, sweet potato biscuits with a sweet potato butter.
I
Ooh.
haven't tried that. I'll have to do that too.
I know we're getting close to our time to wrap up. I just want to say a great big thank you, and I will tell you, I tried a sweet potato butter the other day at a restaurant.
Yeah.
It was savory. It had rosemary.
What'd they put it on?
Rosemary and thyme. What did they put it on? Just the bread that they brought at dinner. I really didn't want to get to my dinner. It was delicious. We might have to go to lunch there so you can try it. Deal with their chef. I just want to say a great big thank you to Build Up Dietitians. And I hope you all learned some new and exciting ways of things to do with North Carolina sweet potatoes. And visit our website, ncsweetpotatoes.com, for more crazy outside of the box thinking. And may you have a very blessed and happy holiday season.
Thank you.